Hello there everyone, it's Aaron from Push Square here to tell you that it feels great to have a properly good arcade racing game on PlayStation once more. They don't come around all too often these days, with petrolheads generally favouring your more realistic Gran Turismos, but despite that, Need For Speed drops by every couple of years to provide some high-speed thrills and glorious power slides. The series has been admittedly hit or miss for quite some time, but the speedy Stephen Tailby was happy to find that Need For Speed Unbound, the latest iteration, was a genuine winner. This is his review adapted from the article into video by yours truly. So from the moment you start up, the game Unbound will establish itself with a striking identity that blends hip-hop, electronic music and graffiti-like visual flourishes. Now it won't be to everyone's taste, but Unbound gives the series a much-needed injection of personality and flair after years of struggling to find its voice. Mixing the visual flair with its realistic presentation of its open world and vehicles may seem a little odd at first, but undoubtedly Unbound would be a bit plain without them. Popping your boost or pulling off a sweet drift or catching some major air would just not feel quite as good without all the sketch-like doodles and colourful tyre smoke. The extra feedback feels great. The NPC characters also carry over this artistic vision, but its success is a little uneven. Luckily, outside of a few cutscenes, you won't see an awful lot of them. The story at play here will see you in the fresh new kicks of an up-and-coming street racer. Now, after a little joyride in a specced out set of wheels, you're left practically carless, and it is up to you to race your way to the top. I'm heavily skimming over the story at play here, of course, but in all honesty, it's just an excuse to tune up cool cars and take them out on the road. But thankfully, this is where the game shines, as it should. Unbound has the best handling model in a Need For Speed game in quite a long time. It builds on what Heat brought to the table, but improves responsiveness and even makes it easier to maintain a juicy drift. Also, running the game at 60 FPS, yeah, that just improves the experience tremendously. Now, it's important to note that handling differs from vehicle to vehicle, but it's also highly customizable. By default, tapping the gas or the brakes will initiate a drift, but you can switch those off entirely if you like. Additionally, you can tweak the handling of all cars to prioritize drifting or grip. The latter is usually better for securing those faster lap times in races, while the former comes into play during drift events and takeover challenges, which are all about style. Unbound caters to all arcade racing sensibilities, and we'd say it hits a great balance. Whatever and however you drive, the single player will put you through your paces. In the first few hours, your car choices will leave you struggling to pull ahead in a surprisingly challenging turn. But once your cars are decked out with some better parts, you'll easily climb the ranks. Like its predecessor, Unbound splits day and night into separate entities, but it treats them a little differently. Each period has a set of races or competitions that you can partake in, all rewarding cash. Reputation ranks aren't anywhere to be found here. However, every event will afford you some heat, which dictates how aggressive the police will be if they spot you. What's more is that the heat you attain during the day carries over to the night, so driving after dark can become especially risky. A series of interesting design choices mean that the campaign gives you plenty to think about. After a day and night cycle, your heat level will reset and you'll move on to the next day on your calendar. You need to spend 5 in-game days preparing for the big qualifier event on the Saturday, which requires a car within a certain tier and a wad of cash for an entry fee. And events during the week will also have entry fees, meaning that you can't just go around splashing all of your cash upgrading your car or picking up a fresh pair of Vans for your customizable character or even making yourself a horrendous PlayStation Push Square themed car. Yeah, I know, I tried. The whole thing is a balancing act. You need money to upgrade your vehicles and enter each qualifier, but to get money, you need to enter races during the week, and these will put you in hot water with the police. What's more is that you may need to maximize how much you make in any given day to ensure that you make enough by Saturday. But the longer you're out, the riskier things get with the police. If you can forgive the cliche, it is a real risk versus reward system, forcing you to consider all options. It's really cleverly balanced. Online, meanwhile, feels a little lackluster. With no cops on the road at all, you're free to play as many races as you want, with up to 15 other players. This necessitates a separate garage from offline mode, as earning money is significantly easier. Aside from the various playlists, however, there's very little else to do, and the online mode really highlights the emptiness of Lakeshore City. Sure, there are billboards to smash, collectibles to find, and many challenges like speed traps to complete, but they're of little consequence. And the lack of fast travel can be really frustrating, especially online when you're just trying to get to events. The open world would be quite a dull place if it weren't for the super fun racing. Drifting into our conclusion though, outside of a few complaints, Need for Speed Unbound is a seriously fun arcade racer that gets the series back on track. The versatile handling feels fantastic, and the single player offers a highly engaging campaign, pitting you against the cops and other racers alike. The much talked about cartoon effects succeed in bringing some flair to the experience, and it all runs wonderfully at 4K and 60 FPS on PlayStation 5. If you can forgive a slightly underwhelming backdrop and a bare bones online mode, the minute-to-minute action makes this more than worth taking for a spin. And that has been our slightly later review for Need for Speed Unbound. Let us know down in the comments whether you'd like to, or you have been checking this one out. And while you're down there, remember to hit the like and subscribe button to ensure that you are up to date on all the best video coverage of the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you next time on Push Square.